Am I the asshole for not buying my stepdaughter a new car after she's repeatedly gotten into accidents? My stepdaughter is not a good driver. She was not a good driver when she was a teen and certainly not as an adult. When she was first learning to drive, she did very fast hard brakes, she repeatedly left her car's lights on or left her car unlocked. When she first got her permit at 16, we gave her 2 rules. We would help buy her first car, but she'd be on her own for car insurance, gas, and upkeep. If she wanted a car, she needed to be the sole caretaker of it, and it was on her to ensure she was taking good care of it. Her brothers had the same rules. 3 months into her being 17, she got in her first accident. It was her first time driving in the ice and she slid. Her car hit another car. It was not a serious accident, but it caused roughly $1,000 in damages. Her car drove for another 2 months, but the transmission went out eventually. She bought it at 160-ish miles, so none of us were surprised it didn't last very long. When she was 19, she was in another car accident. While on the highway, a semi-truck tried to merge while riding next to her. She sped up, and during it, another car tried to merge right as she sped up. The car was totaled. Outside of whiplash and minor wrist injuries, she was okay. Because of this accident, we made her get her own insurance because our payment went up. 3 weeks ago, she was involved in another accident. Again on the highway, she was passing an on-ramp and a car coming on hydroplaned and lost control of a ladder in the back of its pickup truck. It again totaled her car. It could not leave the scene and we had to get her to bring her back to her college. The other driver broke his collarbone and she has whiplash, a shoulder injury, and some facial damage that should heal in the next bit. The police officer told her that it was not her fault, but obviously we have to wait for the insurance to make that call. Once she got home from the she asked for us to help her purchase a new car. She said that it's not practical for her to constantly walk everywhere until she could afford a new car. She makes $21 an hour as a CMA at a nursing home, so it won't take her long to buy a cheap car. From her apartment, she is about 1.5 miles from college, 0.25 miles from a grocery store, and 4 miles from her job. I think for the time being, she can walk, ask for rides from friends, or use an app. We don't have public transportation, but lots of sidewalks. She can walk the entirety from her apartment to class, most to a store, and on and off from her job. My husband wants us to purchase a new car and have her pay us back. I don't think this is the right move. To date, the only time we have ever helped buy a car is when they all started driving, and we only paid half. She only saved $2,000 for her first car, so we only gave $4,000 for a new car. One of her brothers saved up $10,000, so he gave $10,000. If we start doing this now, we will walk down a very expensive walk. I have gotten mixed reactions from others. Thoughts? Am I the asshole? I don't think it's an a-hole move to lend her the money and she can pay y'all back, if you can afford it. This is where I think you are the asshole. Reading through her list of accidents, they all seem like that, genuine accidents. Completely unrelated to her being a bad driver or leaving the lights on in her car. Which I was surprised about because the start of your post makes her seem like a terrible driver who's at fault for her crashes. Yet not even Lewis Hamilton could avoid someone aquaplaning into him out of nowhere. If her last accident was not her fault, then the other driver's insurance should cover the value of her car at the time of her accident. Let that be her down payment and she can make payments from her salary. Or you can loan her the money as long as you think she will pay you back. You can choose freely, without obligation, whether to give or not give money, because she's an independent adult. Your list of her past accidents makes you sound resentful toward her, even though she did nothing wrong and got injured by bad luck. If you're still married to her father, then you may get blamed for sounding so resentful. You sounds kind of bitter towards your stepdaughter. Like you don't have to buy her a new car because insurance probably will, but she's cut the girl some slack. These are easy mistakes and she sounds like a good kid. I'm concerned that you want her walking everywhere. I'm hoping she lives in a safe area. Do you like your daughter? You're the asshole. Are you sure you even like her? I'm all for loaning her the money as a reasonable compromise. But you seem really determined to make her walk for something that wasn't her fault. Am I the asshole for how I explained to sister-in-law that she wouldn't be my son's godmother? My wife and I aren't practicing Catholics per se, but we do follow certain traditions such as christening ceremonies for our children. Some people choose a married couple to be godparents. When I was a baby, my parents chose my uncle and his then wife, and they divorced when I was still a child and I lost all contact with my former aunt and basically grew up without a godmother. So my wife and I always thought it was best to choose one of our relatives, and one from each side of our family. For our second son, I chose my brother as godfather, and my wife chose a cousin of hers as godmother. When I called my brother to invite him, he assumed I was asking both him and his wife, and there was this awkward moment when I had to explain to him my sister-in-law wouldn't be the godmother. He seemed fine with it, but my sister-in-law didn't attend the ceremony and my brother later told me she was a bit upset. So I called her later that day just so there wouldn't be any ill feelings, and I briefly explained our reasoning, including my own personal history with my uncle's divorce. And then she got really mad, as if I was implying I believe she and my brother will get divorced down the road, which was not my point at all. She also said just as couples might get divorced, anyone can also lose touch with a blood relative, which is objectively truth, but again, not the point we were making here. I'm sad that what was supposed to be this happy family moment is now tainted somehow. I think the explanation that you and your wife both wanted to invite someone from each side of your families would suffice without the divorce example. But ultimately your sister-in-law is the asshole for even requiring an explanation and being salty about this in the first place. I mean, skipping a nephew's christening and when your husband is the godfather is next level petty in my book. She made it all about herself. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Coming from a practicing Catholic family, I never witnessed a married couple being godparents. I have always seen one person on each side of the family be a godparent. As for your sister-in-law, she needs to grow up. It's not about her and her behavior is exhausting. You should have lit a candle for your brother while in church for strength. You should have left it at, we want one relative from each side of the family, and she made it all about her. Not the asshole, but you really messed up telling her your uncle's story so soft, the asshole for that. Why didn't you just say, I got to choose the godfather and my wife got to choose the godmother? We thought that would make it fair for us. That's the only reason why we didn't choose brother and his wife and just brother. Now you're going to call the asshole for implying that brother and sister-in-law may not have been chosen together because you don't think they will last. Slight you were tone deaf in your explanation. A simple, we want to represent both sides, would have sufficed, and if you had left it at that, any further hurt feelings would not be on you. Sister-in-law was being presumptuous to think she automatically got godmother, but with your explanation, I can completely understand the hurt feelings. I would especially understand if she already has underlying doubts about her acceptance into the family. Mild, you are the asshole. You should have said you wanted one person from each side of the family. Am I the asshole for refusing to keep sending money for my partner's family? I, 29M, am in a relationship with my partner, 28M, who comes from a culture where parents are seen as infallible and can ask for anything without question. When we decided to move to another country, my partner's parents generously helped fund the move. Over time, we managed to pay them back, and even more than what they initially contributed. My partner's mother regularly asks for money for things like bills, office trips, or even luxury items like a new iPhone. This started as small, occasional requests, but it's been ongoing for 3 years now. I initially managed to convince myself how it's fine and a little sum won't hurt, but lately it's really wearing me down. For context, we've also covered other expenses, like paying for legal fees for my partner's dad when he got into trouble, sending money for birthdays, and even paying for my partner's brother's migration fees, which ended up being a waste of money. Not to mention money for chemo, his mom had cancer but is fine now, and random funds being sent for their afternoon tea. I've tried talking to my partner multiple times about setting boundaries with his family. I've explained that this constant financial support is draining, and that if we continue like this, his dreams of buying a new car or a house won't be possible. He kept telling me he has dreams, which I sometimes hate when it turns into a rant how the cost of living has been getting worse. I've suggested he have a conversation with his mom to set some limits on how often they ask for money. However, he refuses to do this and says that I'm in the wrong, that we should separate our finances. Am I the asshole for refusing to keep sending money to his family? Says that I'm in the wrong, that we should separate our finances. That's a fantastic idea. Then he can worry about financing his parents, and you can start saving for your own place. Not the asshole. It's a cultural thing. My ex was like that. His mother ran everything, and I mean everything. You will not be able to change him unless you divorce him or leave him. He will never stop supporting his family and doing what they want. They come before you. It's something I had to get used to as you do. Take him at his word and separate your finances. He will eventually find out how draining these demands are on just his income alone. Not the asshole. Don't give him money or pay more than your own expenses. The only way he'll learn is when he hits the wall. They can spend their money on what they like, so long as they meet their share of your household expenses. Can't really judge without more information, but I'll go with not the asshole on the assumption that as a couple you don't own a house, or have a decent disposable income as a couple. You've already tried talking this out and he refuses to budge. Get separate finances. That way, only he is supporting his family and their expectations. Don't agree to pay more than your fair share if he's short because he gave his money away. But since he always prioritizes his family, it would be unwise to make any big financial commitments with this man. Don't co-buy a house or car with him, don't sign a property lease where you're jointly responsible, and don't have a baby with him. Wait and see how his finances shake out in a year or two. If he gives all his money to his family and doesn't have half of a down payment saved up, don't buy a house with him. Not the asshole. He is not your husband. If he wants to send them money then okay, but you are not obligated to. I would rethink your relationship with him because his parents will always come first. Am I the asshole? I threw away a hamper full of clothes and my mom got mad. I was cleaning. Our house isn't the cleanest, and it's mostly clutter. So I was cleaning the bathroom and looked at an old hamper full of clothes. It was originally in our washroom but moved to our bathroom. It's full of old dirty clothes that have been sitting in there for maybe a couple years now. They've been collecting dust, and some items even smelled like cat piss. It smelled awful and like I said, has been sitting untouched for years. So I threw it away. The next day my mom was upset, saying that I threw away perfectly good clothes, and how I always throw away things when I clean. And she brought up how I'm always throwing away sauce packets, which we by the way also never use. She told me, throwing things away isn't cleaning. But I think if we don't use it, it's trash. Am I the asshole? So your mom is a hoarder? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Cat piss. I do have a drawer in the kitchen with an array of packets. I also have several packets in the fridge. No cat piss though. Info. Why the heck did you guys just stop doing laundry one day? Not the asshole, and when stuff is destroyed by cats it's now garbage. No one wants pissed on clothing. Part of cleaning is getting rid of garbage. Tell her if you could have saved it and washed it you would have, but in this case, nope. And if things like packets of things aren't used, they too are garbage, as you can't donate them. Maybe leave a few but dump the rest. Check out our hoarding if you need specific help with getting rid of things with someone who tends to hoard things they never can't use. Bets of luck in keeping things clean. Not the asshole. Your mom is clearly a hoarder. The key is to start small, a little every day, a packet here or there. Take it with you to work or school and toss along the way. The clothing 1-2 items over time. Hamper is empty. Move it out of sight then toss it. The packet build up, but my guess if she thinks you're using things, it will be less of an issue. Maybe that's an old jar bottle of something in the fridge. Pour out a little at a time here or there, rinse sink, when empty then toss. Not the asshole. Once a cat pees on something, they'll do it again and again, and it's impossible to get the smell out. That hamper needed to go in the trash. Sauce packets should be tossed when you finish the food they came with. They're more likely to get squished and make a mess in a drawer than to be used. Has your mom considered getting counseling for her hoarding issues?